Yo, peeps. Dad Pants McDock here. I understand there's been a little bit of confusion with respect to the name. Probably because I mumble or I speak too fast or whatever. It's Dad Pants. Dad Pants. Think of polyester Sansabelt slacks pulled up to my nipples. Dad Pants. Anyhow, it's July 17th, 2021. Finishing up a sandwich here. Really good, leftover from Ned's last night. And courtesy of Uncle Doug down the road, brought me back some of this amazing double IPA from Maine. It's delicious. Well, this morning, I decided to try to use some of my alleged newfound skills from the off-road course that I took out at the BMW National. So I headed north to Berry County, where there be dirt roads. In fact, so many dirt roads that they host the Barrie-Roubaix gravel bike race annually, with the exception of last year because of the Chicon thing, but it will be going on this fall. But there's a lot of dirt roads and a few two tracks, most of which are very, very sandy. We had a lot of rain the last 36 hours, so I thought the sand might be packed well enough for me to take the big GS over there and see what it could do. And so I've got a little bit of footage I'll share with you. Essentially, the training paid off. It was phenomenal. It really helped me a lot. My back tire is almost fully shagged, so I've got to get some new boots on the machine before I get up to the UP over Labor Day. But the skills that they taught me from 38 West, that's the company that put on the skills class, were really, really wonderful, and that helped me a lot. Sand riding still is my nemesis. Sand is really, really tough. You gotta get your weight back and be on the gas a bit, but not too much, because I mean, this is a big adventure bike. This weighs 525 pounds. I mean, it's not 252 smoke, so it's tough for me to do it. And I finally did a turnaround at some really deep water crossings this morning that I could not get to the bottom of, testing with a stick. So rather than being a hero and riding solo, I decided to turn around. But I did a lot of the Sager Trail, which is a pretty cool road up in Berry County. It's got a lot of off-camber crap and a lot of sand and some steep ups, steep downs. So it was a good exercise. So hope you enjoyed. Look at Bilbo the GS, having some fun. Cheers, mates. Adding a little bit of color commentary along with the voice of the GS as it motors along in first gear. What I learned in particular at the course is the rule number one is always stand up. Rule number two is referred to rule number one. You have to be standing when riding in sketchy circumstances. You don't sit down ever. Rule number two is keeping your head up, or actually I should say rule number three, because rule number two refers to rule number one. Rule number three is keep your head up. If you start looking right in front of your wheel, you're not focusing out far enough, and you don't tend to ride over obstacles. You tend to get stuck on them because you target fixate on them. So as you can see from this trail, a lot of wash, a lot of washout areas. The two tracks, the tracks themselves tend to be filled with sand, particularly at the end of a large downhill, because that's the way the runoff is. This soil up here in this area is just super sandy. But that's part of the reason I wanted to get up here and give it a try. Now, I have run these roads last year on my 310, which I had modded with TKC 80s in terms of tireage and rally rate suspension, and it was good. It worked really well, but I have to say the torque on this big turd GS is just freaking amazing. It really just chugs along in first gear. I rarely have to feather the clutch. It just seems to work really, really well. I'm kind of anxious to see how it's going to behave once I get some new boots on it here in another month or so. But really, for having tires that the Wench and I absolutely flogged in the Rockies. I mean, we did over 2,000 miles, road miles, in really hot temperatures, and we really flogged the skins on these things. So to still have this functioning pretty well, I'm rather pleased. Here you can see a lot of that sand in these flat areas and then these washout areas. And again, what I learned from the course is doing a little what they call enduro weighting your pegs on the uphill side, or weighting the peg that aims you in the direction in which you want to go. And like jumping over this little wash area, or not jumping, but just riding over this wash area to get to the firmer traction. Weighting the pegs is really, really kind of cool. So arrived at this large puddle, and generally I look to bank off or berm off of one side or the other, the right or the left, but this looks like it's got deep tracks on both sides, and I have no idea of the depth. So stopping and take a break here, get off the beastie, and scout out right or left through the woods and see what that looks like. Downside on the right hand area is pretty low, pretty marshy. I think that's where the overflow ultimately goes, off of this puddle. Go back to the left side, and there's a steep 1 foot rise to jump up right here, and then there's a couple of logs as I go through the brush here. And again, without having a new fresh knob on the back, I'm a little worried about rolling and just dumping it over by riding through here. If it was smooth, I probably could do it, but I just don't have those skills yet. So I think the next step, if I'm going to proceed, is go find a stick. I need a depth stick to tell what the depth of the puddle is. Well, according to the depth stick, only about 6 to 8 inches deep on the right hand side. So time for the SS Titanic. Give it a go. Cheers. Clearly that first puddle gave me some Dutch courage. One of the things with a GoPro that I've noticed, and even when we do videos west when we're snowboarding, is it's really hard to judge the depth with a GoPro. It's particularly difficult to see the steepness of a hill. So this all looks flat. It really isn't flat. From my skill level, this is really, really challenging, but for whatever it's worth. Those of you who use a GoPro, you might notice that as well. This is freaking steep. Really steep, yeah. And this is the end of the road for me. This looks super deep, and I've seen it in previous years, and it's not something I feel like I can cross. So I'm gonna reconnoiter a little bit and probably just muscle the beastie around and go back the way I came.
LA.
And this would be the time when you're wishing you were on a 310 and not a 1200 GS.
All right.
At this point, astute observers may be wondering why my right-hand mirror looks like it's on Viagra and the left-hand mirror is normal. Well, this is another piece I learned in that class. Basically, what they do is adjust one of their adventure spec mirrors for seated position, and they adjust the other for standing position, so that you always have a view of your six, no matter whether you're seated or standing. And I found that to be very helpful today, because on some of the dirt roads I traveled, there could be some car traffic and truck traffic, so it's kind of nice to keep an idea of what's going on. And back to M178 between Hastings and Gun Lake Wayland area, coming up right here. A little bit of water crossing good there. Now I'm heading back west on the Sager Trail, heading back toward Norris Road. This stretch of the road used to have some seriously deep water holes. It looks like they've done a little, I dipped my head again, what an idiot. Serious water crossings, but it looks like maybe Barry County has dumped some stuff in it here and there. It looks like some crumbled asphalt here and there. So, but it's a interesting road, a lot of sand, fair amount of soft stuff, and just real entertaining. So enjoy. Now I see people up ahead, so the whole key here is not to basically dump it in front of them to save face. You know, man, that's the way we roll. A little bump here, but I think we made it through unscathed. Really, the funny thing is, they look like, what the heck is that big turd doing out here in the land of dirt bikes? Well, somebody's got to do it. I think I could have steered the bike with my butt cheeks through that section. That was really sketchy. A lot of fun, though. Now, there's a hole. I don't want to go in there. And back to Barry County Dirt Roads, heading south. This stuff is great. You can stand up and rip these off in 4th, 5th gear if you want to. It's awesome. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video today. Dad Pants out.